Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about all the things that I learned the hard way in uni, and I mean it when I say the hard way. I just feel like you go to uni, you're like, I've done 2 years of college or sixth form, like I've done 5 years of school, well, 5 years of secondary school. No one can tell me what to do and who I am, but oh my god, there is so much that happens in those 3 years. I went in one person and it was like, you know when Eminem goes in one side of the factory at in the club video and then comes out the other, like I went through the factory. So as I'm sure some of you are heading off to uni soon, I'm going to share all my ups, my downs and everything that I learned the hard way in this video, which can hopefully help you as well. Also, if you're new here, please subscribe. It'd be great to have you along for the ride. I have no idea why the light looks like this. It is so yellow. So today I have partnered with the Different is Normal campaign from Brook Canesten, all about how vaginas should never be a cause for concern. And by vaginas, I really mean vaginas and vulvas. We want to get people with vulvas talking more openly about their bodies and empower them to get to know their vaginas and vulvas better. So without further ado, here are maybe 13 or 14 things that I learned the hard way at uni. So I think the most important thing for me, and I've talked about this a little bit online before, was learning how to be comfortable in my own skin. I'll develop on this a bit more in a point later down the line, but when I was an 18-year-old, I was convinced I knew a lot of stuff and I really didn't. Well, I knew some things, like I knew my ethics, I knew what I stood for, and like I knew a bit about myself and my values. However, there was lots of stuff I didn't know. One of the main things was I just didn't feel comfortable in my own body. So I think I realised around my first year, like I just didn't feel comfortable in my body. So I tried to take some steps to like push me out of my comfort zone, but also get me comfortable in my skin. I ended up dating, I pushed myself out of my comfort zone, I made new friends. I also got to know my body better. One of the things I learned is that not everyone is the same and being different is normal, which was so helpful for getting me more comfortable in myself. There was this time when my friends and I sat down and talked about our bodies and I realised that everyone's vulvas look different. That was a news flash. So if you're worried about if you're normal down there, don't be. Everyone's vagina or vulva is different. And it's really important we talk about our vaginas and vulvas to reduce the shame and stigma. We just need to talk about them like they're any other part of our body. If you're looking for advice on how to get to know your body better, check out Brook's website. They have loads of help and advice. Their advice extends to lots of things vagina and vulva related, including stuff about contraception, about hygiene. There's loads. Also discharge. Very important thing to know about. Let's talk about friendships. Friendships in London and in London uni were very hard to make because you're in this huge city. There is no student area per se. There are like certain tube stops where some students live like a 20-minute walk from. Like it was not that easy. And then on top of that, no one's really in uni unless they're like in a class or the library. It was hard. However, we found ways. So in my first year, I tried joining societies. I joined a couple, I went to a couple, but they weren't very frequent, they weren't very like well maintained. So I met people and that was nice, but I didn't really like maintain those friendships. And then I realised that maybe the best way for me to make friends was hanging out in the student union because that was the hub of like SOAS's student life. And then on top of that, talking to people before and after my lectures and tutorials. While I couldn't chat to people while I was in there because obviously it's very like, I don't know, go. Like you're not really chatting about the weather to anyone while you're there. There's not time. Before and after, everyone would get there and there'd be like this kind of milling around. It was always really quiet. So I made a point of chatting to people there and that really helped. I've still got some friends from my courses that I took in that year. So in second year, in fact. So chat to people when you get the chance. I promise you it's worth it. Even just those like real tertiary friendships can make the whole world of difference at uni. So when you go to uni, among many other new experiences, you're also becoming more independent and things can get a bit exciting and you're drinking alcohol and that can often lead to sex. Not often. That's an exaggeration. When it comes to sex, it is good to be prepared. It may or may not be your first time while you're at uni, but either way, it's important to have a really positive experience and feel safe and comfortable. Sex can seem like a big deal to some people and also something they're not necessarily comfortable talking about. When you've got the facts, you can then make informed decisions that are right for you. And again, different is normal. So getting to know your body better, being comfortable in your own skin, being comfortable with sex is the best thing possible for you. It's also worth mentioning that some intimate health conditions can be related to sex, but can often be mistaken for sexually transmitted diseases. So it's good to know what's what and when not to ignore symptoms when things don't feel right. For example, vigorous sex can cause bladder irritation and cause non-bacterial cystitis in women. Bet you didn't know that. And so, always pee after sex. As you can imagine, I didn't really know any of this when I started uni. I ended up just chatting to friends and kind of picking stuff up through their experiences. But it does not have to be this way. You can go on Brook's website and actually learn loads of factually correct, very useful information about things you may have never even heard of before you went to uni. Don't wait to learn from friends. So back on the subject of embracing your individuality. When I went off to uni, I had a serious case of the blenders. I just blended in with people that I was close to. I didn't even notice myself doing it. I just kind of take on loads of their style and their personality and their accent, their mannerisms, everything. And that was a problem because I really felt lost in myself and my own sense of who I was. I really felt it for the first 2 years of uni. And then by the third year, I was like, okay, I think I've identified a problem here. I need to break out of the cycle. The good thing about my uni was that everyone was so different. No two people were the same. So the people I was surrounded by were quite different in themselves. And by remembering that, I was able to kind of hold on to this like tiny slice of individualism that I'd retained and kind of bring that back to me. I know lots of people don't have that problem, but I really found that was a real struggle for me. I'm just a type 9, guys. I'm just a type 9. I'm really sorry, you can see the reflections of all the cars as they go by. Yeah, I just kind of learned to embrace the things that made me me. Okay, now we got to talk about something quite important, which I know some people are fine with, but also might need a refresher, which is hygiene. I was very lucky. When I went off to uni, I was already doing all my own laundry at home. I was cooking for myself at home as well. But a lot of people are having their laundry done for them and are being cooked for by their wonderful parents. And on top of that, they are just being looked after. We're all being looked after. So when you leave for uni, you're now responsible for feeding yourself, clothing yourself in clean clothes, and making sure that you are fully hygienic and just looking after the bod. And I know it's super busy, like whether you're cycling to uni or you're going on massive nights out or you're holding yourself up in the library for a couple of too many hours, probably too many hours, it can be hard to prioritize hygiene. So here's a refresher just in case you need it. The best way to keep odour at bay is to bathe or shower every day. Washing with highly perfumed soaps or shower gels can actually irritate your vulva, so it's probably best to wash it with warm water only. Also, don't be confused by thinking you might need to wash with douches or vaginal deodorants. They can sometimes cause infection. Wearing clean clothes, socks and underwear each day will help you feel clean. Yes, doing laundry sucks, but if you do it once a week, you will end up with clean clothes in your drawers and you will feel a lot fresher. Get it? If you're someone that sweats a bit more, you might find cotton a bit more absorbent as opposed to man-made fibres, which can retain some of that sweet, sweet armpit scent. If you're looking for more advice, in particular about how to keep your vagina healthy, go to Brook's website. Visit brook.org.uk for tips and advice. There is a link in the description. Now this is a challenge. This is something I still struggle with, and that is work-life balance. When you're at uni, you go from having that structure at school and college of, you know, you get up at a certain time, you leave at a certain time, you even know when you have your lunch. You really don't have that at uni. Like I had 8 classes, so 8 hours worth of contact time a week. And beyond that, it's just up to me. And in my first year, as you can imagine, that led to some slightly difficult late nights and all-nighters. It involved me getting up at 11, going to bed at 3 a.m. It was just not healthy. I didn't feel good. I remember feeling just like I was not seeing the sun. As I moved through uni, I tried to improve this. I remember there was a time in second year where I was in the library at 10 a.m. every day and I was like, wow, I'm killing it. Guys, none of this is a big deal, but I think I have balance. I was also missing fewer and fewer classes. I know that's such a thing that happens when you're at uni. You just miss things. It happens. It's not the end of the world, but it does help to be at your lectures and tutorials and seminars. So yeah, improving my schedule just helped me be on time, and like it meant that I wanted to go to the classes because they provided structure. Making my own routine was essential because without structure, I would have continued my 57% streak that I was on in first year, which was not conducive to a 2-1. These are all very serious. I'm so sorry, but now we move on to budgeting, something that a lot of people don't even want to think about, but trust me, it helps. I bank ethically. I don't know if you know that, or as ethically as I can. However, there was not an ethical student bank when I was at uni. So kind of out of just my own personal feelings, but also out of budgeting ideas, I transferred a certain sum a week of my student loan each week to my student account so that I did have that overdraft. but also I wasn't putting all of my money into my student account each year. With that came actually natural budgeting. I worked out, I think I paid myself £80 a week, and £20 of that straight away went on the tube, and I had a tube pass, and then like a tube pass? Who am I, old lady? Oyster. And yeah, through doing that, I just ended up having a much better handle on exactly how much money I had, how much money I could like keep a hold of, how much I was spending. And I ended up, albeit I was working through my second and third year, I did end up graduating without an overdraft, which is madness. Like, that is near impossible in London. So pat on the back to myself for doing that. It is so important to budget at uni. I know a lot of people just think, yeah, whatever, but like, without knowing exactly how much money I had, I would have spent so much more. London is a money drain. Like, it just sucks the life out of your finances. So it had my back. Budgeting had my back. Freshers flu, not a myth. I didn't ever get flu per se, but I had this really terrible laryngitis. Whenever someone around me has laryngitis, I catch it nearly always instantly, but I caught it so much at uni because I was so run down from just being stressed and from working very hard, from late nights, from alcohol. I just caught it. It was being around that many people all the time. So I really made an effort in my third year to really try and up my game with my health so that I would not catch this stupid, annoying virus again. And you know what? I only caught it twice that year. Considering all the stress, I think I did a really good job. But yeah, it's majorly important to stay healthy. Please get your meningitis jab if you're eligible for it, because let's not have anyone getting meningitis at uni. It's just not fun and cool or anything. It's not fun and cool, it's also lethal potentially. The main lesson I learned my hard way there is learn your limits. Like, you're not infallible, you will get sick, and you just have to lean in to being sick. Otherwise you will make it worse if you try and push through for 4 weeks. Speaking of which, cooking for yourself and staying healthy is so important. I know we have this impression of students just going to uni and like living off of pot noodles and ready meals. And obviously you have your fair share of kebabs. You know, this is life and we're not magic. But food is important, food is fuel. And if you fuel your body with a lot of crap and garlic bread, you're gonna know about it. And I'm not one to talk because while I ate quite healthily at uni, I drank my way through, which is a whole other subject for another day. But I ended up going sober after uni because I really thought I had an alcohol problem. Good work, me. So between me and my pals at uni, we ate plant-based, I'd say 90% of the time, which was great. And then when we ate meats, we'd only eat it when we were out if we knew it was like organic and fresh and like good for us. We just ended up eating a lot of veggies, like a lot of veggies and grains. It saved me so much money and it was so good for batch cooking. I always had like a portion for lunch or a portion for dinner the next day. It was so good. So yeah, obviously it's fine to have like your takeaways and stuff, but like if you can, try and eat as healthy as possible because it will give you the fuel you need and make you feel so much better. Something I learned the hard way: call home. My mum was disappointed in me when she asked me to call every 2 weeks and I called once a month. Bad daughter. Again, on the topic of like making friends, I think there's this massive idea of like the student stereotype, someone who goes out all the time, parties, drinks loads. I always felt like I was almost living up to the stereotype too much, and then when I wasn't, that I was failing, but also I felt like I was failing when I hit it too much. It's just such a silly idea. Like, everyone in my uni was completely different and it was amazing and everyone was like so cool and interesting. And again, I had to like reflect on myself and why I was feeling this pressure, that this invisible pressure, it didn't exist, and where it was coming from and how I could fix it in myself. So I think coming to terms with that and being like, hey, it's their business, this is my business, I should not feel pressure for this, for just being me. That was good. When I tried to blend in with those people, it didn't actually make me feel better or worse, and it didn't actually feel like me. So ignoring it and like being like living my own truth was definitely the best thing I could have done. Let's talk about alcohol consumption. I am not the Mother Teresa on this front. To put it mildly, I learned the hard way, the very hard way, to be careful with alcohol, and that you need to be self-aware and careful, basically. Careful is the main word. I would personally recommend having more nights off than on each week as a good like guideline, like good parameters. So if you can take 4 days off or more of drinking a week, that is like the best. I say the best. The best is not drinking, but we've got to be realistic. On the subject of alcohol consumption, looking after your mental health is so important at uni. Nearly everyone has a dip, and that dip can be a major dip or a small dip, depending on who you are. So making space for your mental health is not just important, but essential. In Freshers, I remember we had a talk from someone who worked in the Student Advice and Wellbeing Centre, and they kind of let us know where to go and who to speak to if stuff did get too much. I didn't note that down, which was really stupid because I needed it in my second year. So when you're in that position and maybe someone comes and like talks to you, or if not, just find out where you can get the resources you'll need if you do end up needing them, and make a little note of it. Also, you might need support academically, and I know that SOAS offered that, like academic services that were also kind of well-being academic services. There was a service where other students who were in higher years in your course could read your essays before you submitted them and kind of give some like rough feedback. That was really helpful to a lot of my friends. So check what kind of services your university offers, because you'll probably find them incredibly useful at some point in your course. So I think that is everything I have to say in this video. Those are my pearls of wisdom. I don't have much wisdom, but I've given it to you here. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Brook and Canesten, for working with me on this video. It has been great to set the record straight that different is normal, and each vagina and vulva is different, as unique as you are. And I hope this video helps people feel more comfortable with their bodies and know more about how to take care of them. The link is in the description. If you're new here, please subscribe. It would be great to have you along for the ride. I hope you now are a better student because of this video. Thanks for watching. I will see you in my next one. What was this? Who am I?